Well, hey there, rock stars. Sarah Rockin' Robbins here, coming to you live for another prospecting tip of the day and a super short story that I felt compelled to share with all of you. As we get started, let's go ahead and get acquainted. If you don't mind, do a quick shout out below. Tell me who you are and where you're tuning in from. And if it is your first time watching, click a number 1 in the comments so I can warmly welcome you. A virtual high five to the first person who guesses where I just came from today. That's right. It was cold in Cali and I forgot to pack a sweatshirt. So I'm the owner of this lovely thing, Legoland in California. We went there with our little guy. That is the beauty of our profession. Going on a Tuesday in the middle of the day, both mom and dad, to be with our sweet son, Gabriel, who is the love and light of our life. We had a really fun day today. As you're introducing yourself, I'll quickly introduce myself. Who am I? Sarah Robbins, a former kindergarten teacher turned one of network marketing's very top leaders. I have a team of over 300,000. Together, we did over $1 billion in sales in just a year. Oftentimes, people ask, how did I do it? So I share my best practices in my best-selling book, Rock Your Network Marketing Business. You can get it on Amazon or on my website, sarahrobbins.com. Sarah with an H, robbins2bs.com. You can get audio, hard copy, Kindle, and of course, audio is read by me. Make your car a rolling university. And of course, as you know, I've got a lot of great training on the store there as well, but I also come to you live on my Facebook page and my podcast regularly throughout the week for my tips as well. So that's what we're here for today. Today, we're gonna talk a little bit about a story that you may not know, and it's that this is not my first rodeo. And what I'm about to share with you actually might surprise you today. All right, are you guys ready? Here we go. So a lot of people hear my story, they know my story, they've gotten to know my story across the profession. But what you may not know about me is that this is not my first rodeo. Yes, it's true, I was a shy young kindergarten teacher when I started. It's also true I had 19 cents in my bank account. It is also true that a lot of my friends were young and broke, just like me when I was getting started. And I did not have experience in network marketing. Now, I did not say I had not been in another company before. I didn't have experience or even a positive experience doing network marketing before. In fact, I didn't know a lot about the profession except for the fact that for many years they said I would never, ever, ever do it. Anybody else? Give me a little virtual thumbs up, say me too. If that is you, don't be ashamed, right? I just didn't know what I didn't know. But my company now, the one that we've built $1 billion in sales in 1 year, is not my first rodeo. In fact, I had done network marketing 2 other times. So this is my 3rd company, or I should say I didn't do it because I really didn't do anything with it. But this is my 3rd company, so I guess what they say is true. The 3rd time is a charm. So I'll quickly share with you my story. I'm going to share with you what I learned over time and really what shifted for me. Why did I have success on the 3rd attempt? And I'm going to tell you who's to blame too. Are you guys ready? It's going to be a juicy one. All right, here we go. So my first experience actually was when my husband and I first got married. We're celebrating 15 years of marriage this year. We got married super young. Our first house was an apartment that we both lived in together. And again, I mentioned to you that we didn't have any money when we got started. So I remember walking to my apartment one day and seeing this huge box on the porch. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is this? And I see my husband's name and I'm like, okay, this is back in the day before we had money to shop online, or even before shopping online was really cool, right? Now it's like we all employ FedEx, right? We've all got, you know, shelves with our names on it for Amazon, etc. This was way back in the day, okay? So I remember coming up and I remember seeing this huge box with my husband's name on it. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna kind of like kick the box inside to, you know, get it within the door. I kicked the box and I stubbed my toe and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so heavy. What is this? It weighs like 1,000,000 pounds. So naturally I open up the box and there is like 20 bottles of juice inside and a backpack. And I am like, what is this? What is this? I'm like, oh, he's in trouble, you know, because again, we had no extra money to spend. We barely had money to pay bills. There's times that we had to borrow money to pay bills. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, there's absolutely no way that we just bought hundreds of cases of juice and a backpack. Like, what in the world? And so I go in and I talk to my husband, and he was an entrepreneur who owned a landscape company at the time. And I'm like, honey, what is this? We have absolutely no money. He was like, I was at this little diner and some guy started drawing circles on a paper to me and my friend and started telling us how we were going to be a millionaire. And I signed up and he spent all of this money, and I was so mad, guys. I was so mad. I was like, you have got to send this back. That was time number one. Time number two, we were approached by a couple at church at the time, and this company, which will remain nameless, has changed its names many times over, so it must have been going an identity crisis, who knows. I remember the name of it when I joined, but since I've heard like 50 names for the company at the time. But anyways, long story short, we signed up, and really we didn't end up getting a lot of direction in terms of, you know, what do we do next in terms of meetings, events, training, etc. We just didn't do anything with it. Third time comes around. That's the company that I'm with today. And the story of how I found it is really cool, how I found my company and my story with it. I just shared it with somebody that I met here the other day. He's like, your story is crazy. It's remarkable. It's incredible. But basically, I was a kindergarten teacher, and I was looking for extra money. And I found my company before it was in direct sales. It used to be a retail brand. And I was working for them as a freelancer. So basically what that means is I was working for them part-time, and I was doing events, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Our company started looking for ways that they could bring the brand to the masses and reach more people and leverage the social economy. And they decided that they were going to leave retail and go into direct sales. And my mom and I were freelancing for them, and they basically gave us a call and said, good news and bad news. Bad news, you're gonna lose your job. Good news, we have another opportunity for you. We're leaving retail, we're going into direct sales. Do you wanna be a part of this? Now again, I didn't know what I was saying yes or no to. I didn't know much about direct sales except for the fact that I said I would never ever do it, and I would never ever do it again. But my mom was a serial entrepreneur. She's like, Sarah, I know the stories of people who have made millions in this industry. We would be crazy not to do it. So I'm the firstborn. I'm the compliant one. I'm also a teacher. I'm a researcher. I knew I would be crazy not to do my due diligence and research. And the more I researched, the more I fell in love with the power of our profession, network marketing. Where else could a shy teacher in her 20s, right, do this my time, my terms, low cost, no risk, leverage the credibility of a huge brand, the resources of large corporations, and have the ability to really turn a profit right away. You know, if you're looking at franchising today, it's $250,000, and it can take you 10 years to turn a profit, right? And so I decided I had nothing to lose, but I had so much to gain. And like most people do, I started very part-time in sharing. By the end of the school year, I was surpassing my teaching income consistently. I decided to retire. The timing was perfect because shortly thereafter, our school shut down for lack of funding. The time to look for a plan B is not when you need one. 5 years in, by 29 years old, was our company's first six-figure per month income earner. Now, this is my own unique story, but let me just say, I didn't imagine earning six figures in a year, much less in a month. And we've since gone on to really, 12 years later, create legacy, not only for us, but for the hundreds of thousands of people on our team. And I still get to work with kids, just on a grander scale. I always say as our income grows, so does our impact, right? Our why evolves with time. Now we open up orphanages for children in need overseas, and we don't just give, we go. That's thanks to the time and resources that the business provides to us. Now, another quick fun fact that I'll share with you, I talk about, you know, sometimes how our greatest burden can be our greatest blessing. I think about, and I just think about how much our life has changed and how incredibly grateful and appreciative I am. But I remember back in the day when we bought our first house and we were upside down in that house. Again, this was before my business. We got into an interest-only loan, like back in the day when that was a cool thing to do. They don't let people just do that anymore. And so many people said, you know, our whole street, by the way, we were in Michigan, Motown, Motor City. You know what happened to the automotive industry and the downturn of the economy. Everybody advised us to foreclose on that home. Everybody. We never felt right about doing it. We held on to it. And it was so crazy as we then built the network marketing business. 5 years in, we were living way under our means, right? In fact, our cars cost more than our house at the time. We started to think our neighbors going to probably wonder what we're doing, but we were wise to save before we spent. We then found our dream home in Michigan. We bought it. And at that time, we didn't even really know what we were going to do with this house yet, our first house. So we're like, do we sell it? Do we rent it? We don't know. Long story short, there was somebody driving by, literally, as we're moving our stuff out to go to this new place. And she said, hey, she said, are you guys renting or selling? We're looking for a place to rent. And we're like, sure, you can rent from us. And they rented from us over the years. And here's the cool thing, guys. Several years later, they were faithful and wonderful and amazing. My husband and I both had on our heart to do something really cool for this family. One day we were taking a walk and he said, Sarah, I have on my heart something about the house. And I was like, oh my gosh, me too. And we both decided that we would gift our first home to that family. And it's such a cool story, guys, because he has a disease, which Parkinson's, which basically affects your body. And it has affected him in a way that he's not able to work anymore. And long story short, this was just a tremendous blessing to this family. We're able to call him over Christmas and say, the house is yours. And I just think about, again, if we weren't in this position with network marketing, it's been such a blessing to us. It's allowed us to be more than a blessing to other people as well. Blessed to be a blessing, right? And I see how our greatest burden has become some of our greatest blessings, you know, not only in our life, but in the lives of other people too. And that is the power of our profession. So I don't know why I told you that story, but sharing it with somebody the other day, and it's super, super cool too. So here's the thing. You hear my story, and some of you are thinking, well, gosh, you know, did she get lucky, or it must have been easy? Guys, that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, I got off to a really slow start. It took me 3 months to recruit my first consultant. When my mom and I started, we were the first two in the company, so we had no trainers. We had no training. We didn't even have a compensation plan yet, guys. We didn't even know how we were going to get paid. And here's the thing. I want you to key into this because I'm going to share with you the part that may surprise you in just a moment. We had no upline. It was the two of us. We really became a student of the profession. So here's what would surprise you. Here's what may surprise you. I don't blame my upline or my sponsor and my last two company for my first two fails. I don't blame them. And guess what else? I don't blame myself. Guys, the truth be told, your why evolves with time. And it's like the saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. You know, when I train people, I always say, you are not responsible for people's success or failure when you bring them in. It's not fair to be like, oh, Sarah Robbins was successful because I was the best sponsor. But it's also not fair, right, for those first two people to say, well, gosh, she was a failure because I failed her. No. What I do believe that we're responsible for is to get people off to a great start. Those first 30 days that, you know, what we do during that time matters. That's why you should take my Rock Start course. Not Rock Star, but Rock Start with a T. It's on sarahrobbins.com. On the store, it teaches you how to get people off to a great start, or how to get off to a great start yourself. It was a decision that I made in that time in my life to be successful. But my why had changed because I was just about to lose my teaching job. So I was ready. In fact, one of my mentors, Leslie, says, you know, Sarah, people always come to me and they say, you know, what is the secret to Sarah's success? Especially people who saw the struggle before the victory. She said, I always tell them one thing. She said, Sarah was coachable. And you know what? Leslie was right. I became a student of the profession. I bought books and I read them over and over again. I bought audio. I listened to it over and over again. I showed up to every single company convention and all of the industry events, and I learned from the people that were doing it well. You know, again, I didn't have an upline, but truly, I have nobody to blame. And again, I don't blame myself, but I thought, I'm gonna be the leader that people are looking to follow. And I became a student of the profession. So what is the secret sauce, you guys? The secret sauce is you. If you've been blaming people, your upline, your downline, or my goodness, golly gracious, like, you know, my parents, the things that happened to me 30 years ago, it's time that we step into our success, to take responsibility for where we are, to give ourselves permission to begin again, and to really become a student of personal and professional growth. So yes, this is not my first rodeo. The third time is a charm. But what may surprise you is this: I don't blame anybody. I don't blame them, I don't blame myself. But instead, what I can say, the difference maker, the thing that made the change in this third experience was I was ready. I had a why that resonated with me, and I decided to be a student of personal and professional growth. What about you? What's stopping you? What's holding you back? It's time that you take ownership for the season that you're in and rewrite the story and give yourself permission to begin again. Now, speaking of personal and professional growth, guys, I want to let you know that if you go to sarahrobbins.com today on the store, this is the last week we are offering our master classes, our course, for over half off. As I shared with you, we did some best-selling classes last year. Rock Your Recruiting was basically how to prospect, find new customers and consultants for your business. I teach you how I found all of mine. The 2-hour training, you'll get a download of prospecting ideas and scripts, social media that sells, how we did it all online, Rockstart, as I mentioned earlier, and several others. We did this as a pilot program last year. We're selling them for one last week, this week at half off, and we're migrating our system starting next week. So if you want to get them at the introductory price, check it out now, sarahrobbins.com. I'll drop a link below, and you can go to the store and check it out. But it is your time. It's time to shine. It's time to take this hobby of yours, this part-time, this sometime, and make it absolutely meaningful for your family. Because here's the thing, guys. If you quit, you say no to your team, to your future team. You say no, really, to your dream. Don't walk out on your reason why. There is nothing like seeing your reason why in action. What is your why worth? You are worth it. This is your season and your time to shine. I believe in you. It's time to rewrite your story. All right, if you resonated with this today, make sure you share this on a team page or an inbox with your friends. Share any comments below. I read them all. But I just want to encourage you guys with my story, and I'm excited to see you rewrite your story. With that, I want to say thanks. Have a great day. God bless. Goodbye for now, and rock on, rock stars.